Right. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Today for math, we're going to be in 1.1, rational and irrational numbers. And the part of that we're going to talk about today is changing fractions to decimals. So all fractions can be changed to an equivalent decimal through division. Now, you're going to find on YouTube an example step-by-step that I did for page 8, number 2. It's a little bit simpler of a problem than number 1. And then I'm going to do a few more examples from your homework. I just want to remind you, you guys can do your work in the packet that I gave you. There is a couple blank sheets of white paper in here that you can use to help show your work. Just make sure you label it and keep it organized. If you did your work on a separate piece of paper, that's not a problem. Just put that paper in with your work when you turn it in. All right, so let's look at number 1. 5/11. So, hopefully you watched the video that has these step-by-step directions right here. I may reference some of those directions as I go over this problem. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to think to yourself, hey, all right, we're going to knock this fraction over. It's going to fall over. And so when it falls over, the 5 goes on the inside and the 11 stays on the outside. So the numerator goes on the inside. Then we want to add the decimal, or make this decimal visible right here, and add a couple zeros. You can add 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros. If you are still getting remainders when you are subtracting down here, then you have to add more zeros. So I like to start with 2 or 3. That's a good place to start, right? And then we are going to know that in our quotient, in our answer, the decimal needs to go straight up from there. And there's going to, 11 goes into 5 0 times. We're going to put a 0 here. All right. And now we just need to complete this with long division. So 11 goes into 50. So if you don't know your multiplication facts all that well, what you can do is just write them over here. It's 11, times 1, 22, 33, 44. And so we can see that 11 times 4 is going to go in here evenly. So 4, that's 44. And then we're going to subtract. And as we subtract, we're going to find out that this is, 50 minus 44 is 6. And then we bring down the 0. Okay. And then 11 goes into 60. So again, we could think to ourselves, well, 11 times 5 is 55. So this is going to be 5. 5 times 11 is 55. And we're going to subtract now 60 minus 55 is 5. And we're going to bring down our 0, And then it's 50. And then we can see that that's going to be 4. It's going to go in there. 4 times 11 is 44. And we're going to subtract and we get 6. And so maybe at this point you're starting to see some patterns. So that's what we want to look for, is patterns, now, you can see we are still getting a remainder. We need to add a 0. I'm going to add another 0 here. We can extend this out, bring this down, 11 goes into 60. Well, 55 is just a little bit less, so that's going to be 5. 55. We subtract, we get 5. And, this looks like it's going to go on for a long time. But if we notice something, that right here, we had the remainder of 6, remainder of 6, remainder of 5, remainder of 5. So you see the pattern, here's the 6, and then we have 45, 45. So we're just going to keep repeating that same pattern over and over and over. So this is going to become a repeating decimal. And the chunk that's repeating is the 45. That's what's repeating. And so how we're going to write that is we're going to write 5/11 is equivalent or equal to 0.45, and the 45 is repeating, so we're going to put a line over the 2 digits that repeats. And that's how you would write that answer. So that is the answer for number 1 on page 8.